Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hey up everyone and welcome to episode 111 of the Huddersfield Town Social Part, the Andy Takes That Chance Network. It's been another exhilarating week in the life of Huddersfield Town, hasn't it, as we're linked to a 0-0 draw against bottom of the table Port Vale, leaving the pitch to a chorus of "You're not fit to wear the shirt." Seems we haven't seen the likes of which since, well, last season. Cue a tough home tie against league leaders Lincoln, and although Town had us all rubbing our eyes in disbelief at an early 2-0 lead, Lincoln's quality and Town's limited options from the bench ultimately accumulated in a late equaliser for Lincoln. A draw not too bad in the grand scheme of things, but after dropping points to beatable teams, is it all but over for Town's promotion chances? Are we starting to see the first green shoots of Manning ball? Can we get the players back in time to turn this season around? Who knows? We'll be discussing all tonight. And also, what did you think to Mr. Nagle's latest video diary? We'll be discussing that as well, guys. I'll be your host, Nick Barlow, tonight, and joining me will be Mr. Ian Kilroy, Andy Kay. Mr. Callum Scott also joins us. You've seen him on the West Yorkshire Football Show. And all the way from Texas, yeehaw! It's Mr. Gaz Kay. How are we doing, guys? Yeah, all right, good. Gaz, you having a good time out there, mate?
I'm having a great time, mate. I've not seen any of the games. I've purposely switched off, but I have had 2 sangrias, so this could be interesting.
Way!
I feel a suing coming.
Love it.
Ben England, hello, mate. Good to see you as always. Ben Peel slightly better yesterday, he says, but again, we saw frailties in the squad. I can't help but think Liam Manning is not the way to go. Wrong formations, team selections, and mostly boring football. Well, we'll get on to those games. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do Port Vale first and we'll get to Lincoln. But Daz, evening to you, mate. Good to see you. And to Richard Croft as well. Get your comments in, guys, as always. And if you've got any topic areas, just put them in and we will discuss. But chaps, let's start on a really depressing note and talk about Port Vale, shall we? So this is a Port Vale side who I think they'd won 2 games at home all season. It's a difficult place to go, according to some. But I mean, the pitch looked like something you'd see on Rec at Kirkeaton. I'm not going to lie, and kind of set the scene really for the quality of the football. I thought we started all right. We crafted a few chances at the bar, didn't we? From a Feeney header, but in truth, guys, it were so poor, wasn't it? It's like so many games this season where you come away thinking that's 2 points we've just thrown right down the crapper. Oh, there you go, yeah. Silence. Speechless. Everyone's speechless. That bad.
The thing that's really pissed me off about it was Manning's comments about that after the game that there's no expectation of a win there. Well, if you're not going to expect to win at the bottom club in the league who've won 2 games at home all season, when the chuff are you going to expect to win? So that's the biggest concern for me. The pitch, I genuinely think that Gaz and I have played on better pitches than that for the Net Terriers in the past. And that should not, that's the Port Vale for me have gone right. These lads are used to playing on a flat track at home where it's nice and it swishes about nicely and you can play fast. Let's play on a crap pitch. So that's home field advantage, which they've used to their credit, and fair dues to them. We make it an absolute snooze fest, a terrible game of football, an awful game of football. Then we've got a chance of getting something out of it. And I don't blame them for doing that, but that standard of pitch should not be allowed to be played in professional sport, is my view on it. The rest of the football you lot can talk about amongst yourselves, but I'm worried about his mindset thinking that we can go there and have no expectation of a win. When are we going to expect to win? And pitch just did my Sweden, but because the rest of it was just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I don't know tactically what we were doing. I'll leave that to you, Killer. But wow, what a way to spend a Saturday afternoon. And I won't be doing it again until the end of the season when we go to Wimbledon, because that's me done away from home. I'm sick and tired of being let down.
Andy, you say this every week, mate, but then you always end up there for next
game.
You know you're going to
in the 90th minute last night, I was looking for Leyton Orient tickets, I must admit. And then when the inevitable equaliser went in, that again. So, yeah, up and down more times than you know what. So, yeah.
10 other teams have found a way to win on that pitch, though, Andy. But 10 teams, I would guess most of those will be in and around where Huddersfield are, and they seem to find a way. But from the highlights I've seen and the feedback from esteemed pundits such as yourself, we never really did enough. Never really did enough to win that game. And if you Vale, you're delighted, aren't you? You've taken a point off somebody in the top 6, so they'll be absolutely delighted how it went. And I'm with you. The result is what it is, and I think what Manny's trying to say is that in professional sport there are no easy games, right? And there is an element of truth in that. It's 11 professionals playing for their professional pride. But I'm with you, Andy. If he can't set a team up, limited though we might be, short or width or whatever it is that he wants that we haven't got, we should still be going and Bradford went Tuesday night and had 26 shots.
Yeah,
4 days before. And mullered them 2-0, and we didn't even get close to that level.
I think what it was for me was that we seem to bring our game down to their level.
Yeah, 100%.
We know that we play better football than they do. We've got better facilities to be able to play better football than they do, because you can't play a slick, fast passing game on that sort of pitch. You just can't. The ball gets bogged down, the players get bogged down, and we then dragged ourselves down to that level, and just they were able to capitalise on it. They had more of the ball, they had more passes than we did. This is a team that's bottom of the division. You don't get bottom of League One for no reason. And I think a lot of Town fans, when they sit there and they go, "Oh, tough place to go, Port Vale," evidently not. Evidently it's not been, because they're bottom of the table.
They seem to miss the mark all the time with the comments, don't they? Sorry, mate, I'll just get it.
No, you're right.
They seem to every time they bring a comment out, it seems to be the wrong one at the moment, doesn't it? It's clearly not what fans want to hear, is it? When there's all that expectation, you spend millions of pounds on a squad, and then you're saying you're going to Port Vale and it's going to be tough going. A team that's rooted to the bottom, that's 7 points adrift, that's only won 2 at home, they scored only 26 goals all season. Come on. We've got to be, although nothing's guaranteed, and it's every game's tough, but you've got to go in thinking we're going to forget the opposition, we're taking our game to them, we're going to exert our authority on the game, and we're going to beat them because we're the better side. But it almost felt like in that pre-game. I mean, I don't listen to them very often. I've got to be honest, but in the club's kind of game build-up, it was almost like setting the foundations for a slip-up before we'd even started. It was already planting the seed, wasn't it? That we might not necessarily get the result that we're wanting here, which just didn't seem right to me. But go on here, mate. Sorry, I cut you off.
Now, the form has been better at home recently. They drew with Reading and they drew with, I think, Luton as well in the games prior to the Bradford game. So if Manning comes out and says this, I think we look at it quite differently. If he comes out saying, look, the bottom of the league, they're not great, they're struggling at home, but they have picked up recently and got a couple of decent draws. It's a game where you go and you've got to fight and scrap because a pitch isn't befitting a proper game of football. You have to go about in a different way. It's a challenge we want to overcome and we'll go at it. I think we'd accept that better than the way it came out, which was very much like, oh, well, it's tough. And I feel, again, Town fans, we want that kind of honesty. And once we get that, we're happy. And if we don't get it, we all kind of look for issues with it. The game itself, we had enough chances to win that game in that first half. Ryan Hardy has a chance. Finney hits the bar. Second half, Ryan Hardy has 2 chances in kind of one move when he comes across from the left and he spins back around on the when he gets it back and blazes it high and wide. I think we had more than enough chances to win that game 1-0. That pitch is awful. It's not been as bad as that this season on other seasons, according to Dom House. And I was asking about it the other day. Obviously, he's seen it quite a bit more than we have been in this division with Sheffield Wednesday not too long ago. But they've done that because they're having such a good FA Cup run. They're into the quarter-final against Chelsea in a couple of weeks. They beat Sunderland, they've beat Bristol City. They're not as bad as I think everybody expects. And I think that's what Manning was trying to get across, but he did it in a way that just pissed Town fans off. But I think that's an after effect of what happened in a diary that we'll talk about earlier on in the week. I think there's a lot of things going on at the moment that are upsetting Town fans in general. And it probably starts with how poor it has been on the pitch for most of the season. I think everything else around it now is getting over scrutinized, probably by people like ourselves, assholes like us, as again, certain people at the club seem to think or hint to think that way. But the game itself, I think we had enough chances. The part that really fucked me off with it wasn't necessarily how we started or how we went for the first 60 minutes. It's how the lack of urgency came at the end, where we know what fixtures we've got coming up. Obviously, we've got Lincoln, then we've got Plymouth, we've got Cardiff that's now rearranged. But there's all these 5-6 games in a row that are against teams at the top half of the division or in decent form. You look at Port Vale, and obviously the game prior to that, when we lost at Wigan, sorry, not Rotherham, but Wigan, when we lost there as well. We've had an easy run of fixtures that we've kind of messed up and fallen behind of where we need to be. And in the last 20 minutes of Port Vale, I think most of us would accept it's a must-win game, and we didn't go for it. I felt like we got more and more defensive. Port Vale got more and more into it. And I think that is the only aspect of the game that really pisses me off. That and Alfie May obviously not being in the starting 11 or even the 18 on the day. I still feel if Alfie May is available in that game, he's the guy that scores goals in those kind of games. Because like when Feeney hits the bar and it drops to the middle of the box, that's an Alfie May place to be to prod it in. And I understand there's disciplinary issues potentially or personal issues going on. And we don't really know the situation. Obviously, May was back for the game yesterday. But I just think when you've got 10 games left and you really need to scrap and fight for the 3 points because the fixtures coming up are much more difficult, I think May not being in that 18 was a big issue and a big problem for me if he was actually available. Well, like I say, we're not entirely sure of what the situation was at that point. But it was that lack of urgency in the last 20 minutes that did me in. Port Vale got more and more into it. We got deeper and deeper and deeper. And it just didn't feel like we were chasing the 3 points. It felt like we were happy to sit and wait. And it was another game where I'm sat watching it, and by the end I'm thinking, the only thing we're bothered about here is doing it Liam Manning's way up until the summer, bringing in new people in the summer, and going again next year once we've got a full pre-season under Liam Manning's Town regime's belt to be able to play properly. And that's what I thought Port Vale showed better than anything. I feel a little bit different having seen what happened last night in parts. But for the Port Vale game, that's what I felt at the end of that game. It was that we just didn't go at it. We really could have gone at that, and we decided not to. It's not even that we went at it and failed. It's more that we didn't even give it a go. We were still passing sideways and backwards. 91 minutes, we saw the striker. I think Hardy was still on at that point, wasn't he? He might have been cleaning up on the edge of his own box. 91 minutes in, and we're still doing that away from home against bottom of the league, where we need to win to continue this push for the playoff positions, and we didn't do it. And I felt a little bit off put about it in regards to trying to go to Plymouth this week, like yourself, Andy. I'm just not kind of bothered anymore because that game in itself just looked like we were just happy to see what we could do under this system. And I don't like accepting that at any point, especially when you're still in the playoff positions. I found it tough to watch.
It's not a new phenomenon, though, is it, Killer? Sorry, Nick. It's not new, is it, though? That's been all season under Grant and latterly under Manning. Their resistance to throw the kitchen sink at the job in the last even in the stoppage time, he's almost laughable. You know, I think Oggy asked him about keeping players out and set pieces to try and strike. There's zero interest, and all he keeps referring about, but we were letting shitloads of goals in. Well, yeah, maybe we were, but we were still in a higher position than we are now, mate. And I'm with you. You know, you've just got to try. So if that had been any other League One team in stoppage time, they would have chucked at least one centre half, probably both up, left the full backs back, and just gone along with it. Nichols would have been dribbling out to halfway in his own half and sticking 60, 70 yard on it, and they'd be playing for scraps and knockdowns in the box. We know how he's passing it. He's passing it to Wallace, who's passing it to fucking Feeney, who's passing it to Sorensen, who's passing it back to him, who's passing it to Wallace, and then we eventually wing it out for a throw-in. I think I'm with you.
Guys, quickly though, guys, do you think this is really important? I have not heard it discussed anywhere else. Do you think he's doing it because he's a poor manager, or do you think or he's deciding to do it because he thinks that's the way? Or where I'm at, do you think he's doing it because he's saying, "I'm in charge of you boys. We do it my way. I'm the leader. Do what I'm asking you to do. Otherwise, you won't be in the team." And we have seen 100%. People drop out, and I suppose that is something you kind of have to correct after the previous manager. Lee Grant was obviously really big, clearly on relationships, and I think potentially people might have got an easier ride there than what they're getting under Liam Manning. But that's how I feel like it is, guys. It's very much we're doing it this way, and if you don't play by my system, you're not in the team. We might not win the game, but for now, this is how we play. I don't think this might happen 12 months from now, guys. I think 12 months from now, in these situations, we might go at it a little bit more when he has got the respect he wants from his squad and the players he wants in his squad. And at that point, maybe it does break the mold somewhat and we start going at it. But at the moment, it really feels like transitional kind of period of a new guy coming in, making his own mark on the team. We've seen it before countless times when a new manager comes in and a certain big player gets put on the side a little bit and they're making the mark. Normally in the Premier League, and we're not quite that, but that's quite a common thing to happen, isn't it? I feel like that's what we're going through. It's just strange to see it, Gaz, when we are still in the playoff hunt. Okay, performances, and we know this as fans, seeing game in, game out, we're kind of, it feels like we're in somewhat of a false position because of the fixtures that we've had and that the tougher ones are to come. It's just a strange one to see because we are really there with everything to play for. It's not like Simon Grayson when he came in and it was just, right, promotion now, let's go now. We'll deal with whatever else later on, but let's just try and win this one right now. It's not that at all, is it? It's a very much more of a long-term thing, which is strange for Town because we've not had a long-term thing for a long, long while. But I think that's what's going on.
No, that's fine, right? But we said this, I think, when we talked about the fans forum. It wasn't really fans forum, was it? But and I got the whole vibe from the bits that I looked at that I think Chris Markham said to Liam Manning, if we don't get promoted, we don't get promoted, mate. It's fine. And that there doesn't feel, I'm with you, Killer, there doesn't feel like a pressure to be in the top 6 right now. But as we all know, I'm old-fashioned, so I would have expected us to be trying to wing the balls into the box in the last few minutes and get some knockdowns and try and stick one in from 3 yards. But that's clearly not how they play these days. So sorry, Callum, I think you were going to say something, mate. Sorry.
I was just going to say, sort of tying into what we were saying before about Port Vale and getting dragged down to their level. Is there a chance, do we think, that the reason we're not going after teams in the last sort of, pushing for the win, playing the sort of blood and guts sort of football that League One requires, do we not think that there's a feeling in the camp maybe, and I'm not entirely sure where it comes from given the results, but there's a feeling that these players are better than where they are and they don't play that type of football because they're better players than the league that they're in. So they don't get bogged down in the blood and thunder tackles and going for the last minute winners, winning the knockdowns, because they play nice tippy-tappy football. And yeah, we don't always get results, but we're better footballers than this, so we don't need to, and we won't lower our style to that.
Yeah, I think it's a club thing, Colin. I don't think it's just the players. I think it's a whole club mentality. I've said this before on previous episodes that I think we think we're better than League One, and the truth is we're not, because we're here. And we're going to be here for a long time unless we change the mentality. And I think really in the summer we should probably have recruited decent up-and-coming League One players, sort of top-end League One, and it may be even some promising up-and-coming League Two players, but players who are hungry, with a point to prove, who are willing to roll the sleeves up, get stuck in, put everything on that pitch. And I think there's a few of these players that's coming down from Championship, some of them past the prime years, who think they're too good for this league and just aren't really that fussed. That's how it appears anyway as a spectator watching it. It just doesn't feel like there's that. You compare us with Lincoln last night, they kept going right to the end there. I can't. I mean, how many goals like that do we score last minute? Do you know what I mean?
We let a few in.
We let a few in. But there's just not that. There's not that visible desire to lay it all on the line and snatch that last minute goal that's going to get us the points, is there? The game just petered out at Vale to nothing. And if anything, we were lucky to get a point because they had chances as well. It's not like it was, it's not like Vale didn't have chances to win it. So I thought Manning's interview was shocking. If I'm honest, I thought it was worse than the game. The May thing, if he's got personal problems, issues, you don't have to go into detail, but just say, look, he couldn't play for there's some issues, private issues, couldn't play, that's fine. But first we're hearing he's ill, then we're hearing it's competition, then we're hearing maybe there's some underlying issues or disciplinary or personal. Just be honest. If it's something to do with discipline and Manning has some issue with him, I don't care what he's done. At the end of the day, he's here. We've paid millions of pounds for him. He's an experienced player at this level. He scores goals. You've got to think of what's best for the team, not yourself. And he's got to be, as a minimum, on that bench. You can't come out saying we've exhausted all our attacking options in that game and you've got Alfie May who's not even made the squad, but Bobby Wales is on the bench. It's an absolute joke. Talking about statistics or we don't We don't leave anyone up from corners because statistically, we don't concede as many if we've got everyone. You're playing Port Vale. You're playing Port Vale. You're not playing Barcelona. They don't score goals. You don't need 5 at the back, defensive midfielder against Port Vale. You don't need 1 up front on his own against Port Vale. You need to go for the win. And yeah, I mean, Ian, you'll probably explain tactics-wise why he went that way, but even when it comes down to certain little decisions, like Ashia, been really good in spells on the left-hand side, cutting in with goals, plays him on the right. Arnis has had most of his good spells on the right, he's on the left. Things like that where I look at it and I think, why? I don't understand it. And I think a few fans are kind of scratching their heads sometimes with his selections and his subs. And I just hope that it changes because we can't, someone's already said it, we can't keep sacking managers, can we? So we've got to get behind him now and hope after a summer of recruitment, hopefully decent recruitment, that he can turn it round.
To pick up on Killer's point, is it a case that he's trying to win a culture war with the I mean, there's 2 ways to look at this. It's my way or the highway, and I think that is producing an element of fear because if I mess up here, then I'm probably going to be replaced by somebody else who's willing to do it the Liam Manning way, which I get to a certain extent. But we swapped we saw such a big turnover of players during the close season. You've got to think, well, why is that culture in need of a reset again? So is he trying to do that with a view to next season? But you would imagine there'll be a fair old turnover of players. Well, maybe not with the number of contracts that we've got coming to an end, but is he trying to do that? But for me, that there is absolutely no downside to it for starting to go for games. What is the point? We will not get relegated. We have to win games to try and get into the playoffs. But every Town fan, if they can see them giving their all and trying to do the best that they can to win a game, will get behind them. The frustration that was in that away end towards the back end of the game on Saturday was just the fact that Port Vale were the better side in the last 20 minutes of that game because we just didn't seem to know what to do. We couldn't cope with the pitch. We bought, like you said, I completely agree with you about Bobby Wales. I mean, God bless the lad. I'm sure he's a lovely kid, but he's so far out of his depth, even in League One. It's incredible. That cross that he tried to put in.
Oh dear.
That was just absolutely symptomatic of the just a lack of capability that the kid's got in a pressure situation. So for me, he shouldn't be in it. And if Alfie May has got some issues that we don't need to know the ins and outs of his private life or his personal life, but if, like as you say, he can just say, right, well, he's got some things going on. He needs some time away from the squad. Not a single Town fan will start to dig after that, and we completely respect that. But just to say that it was competition with Alfie May that won Wales that place, that's unfathomable to me. I'm sorry, I just do not believe that. So just tell us the truth. That's all we want, as much as you can tell us. We're not idiots. We can work stuff out for ourselves, but just frustrating.
I think that's the problem for me when the club come out and openly say, fans are dissatisfied, and we'll get to the diary and what Kevin said, I know, but he made his comment on what fans are saying online. You can't have it both ways. You can't leave silence that creates a vacuum and then complain when that vacuum is filled with speculation. You can't have it both ways. So either tell us what's going on or don't complain when people are trying to piece together from, oh, he said that this, and then I saw him here, and then they put 2 and 2 together and get 10. You can't complain at that because you've not given them anything to go on.
Yeah. And I don't. Part of it's maybe a bit of overcoaching. I mean, you'll know more than me. And I think those first games against Bradford and Luton, we went down to 10 men, so tactically it changes. But we were braver in them games. And I do wonder if Manning, he hadn't had a chance to really get his ideas across. And it's a case of you go and do your thing. You go and play in your best position. Just play without fear. I'll watch you. I'll assess.
Yeah.
I'll see where we go from there. The more
show
time
what you can do, type of thing.
Yeah. The more time they've had on the training pitch, the more we've gone to this more defensive control, possession type style. And I don't understand when you've only got a handful of... We've got, at the time, we probably have about 12 games left. Just go for it. With seasons petering out, it worked for those 2 games. Just continue it. And even at Peterborough, although we were lucky to win in the end, but we did it. The benchmark was there. The blueprint was there for how we should have gone the rest of the season. I don't understand why it's almost like he's seen the goals conceded and said, right, we're going to do everything we can to not concede, but at complete detriment to scoring goals. Like we've completely sacrificed almost any goal scoring threat. And that's fine when you sneak in 1-0s all the time, but we're not, are we? So, and time's running out. We've got 8 games, and I think Neil said it here. Potentially, we've got Blackburn, Leicester, West Brom, Portsmouth next season. I mean, we're really going to be. It's going to be harder next season, isn't it? This season's been poor, to say the least. It's not going to be like that next season. I don't think so. Well, Wednesday have got some problems coming down, but there's some big sides next season, and it's going to be seen as an opportunity wasted if we don't get in that top 6. I think.
But the thing for me is that at least, like, just picking up on Callum's point, at least we care enough to put together an opinion, to say something about it. You know what Killer said about the when he did his tweet about his sort of response to Kev's message in his diary. The worry for me is that the crowds that are drifting away silently from the club. It's all right. I mean, I didn't boo on Saturday. I don't boo. I don't think it's a thing that's productive as well. But I walked out without saying a word, and there's so many people like me walking out without saying a word. That's the worry, is that we just ebb away. And how do you get them back? By playing football, the brand of football that we currently are. Nobody's going to turn up. Were there any walk-ups that paid last night? I couldn't get there because I was working in Birmingham last night, and nobody wanted my ticket. I offered 2 tickets free of charge, and nobody wanted it. So how many walk-ups are we getting? How many of that extra income that Kevin's wanting to generate by people walking up and paying the 25 quid and buying the hot dogs and buying the burgers and buying their ale? How much of that did they get last night? Absolutely knack all. Why? Because people are drifting away from the product that's being put on the pitch. So he's got to find a blend for me between doing something that shows that there's something worth supporting versus the winning of the culture wars or whatever it might be. But at least we care. But it'll come to a point where we don't care, and enough people don't care that it starts to become an untenable position for Kev. So it's a rock and a hard place type of stuff. And we've got to show at some point. Yeah,
you're right, Andy. No, you're right. It's league. When you look, so after his first 4 games, he took 9 points out. No, 10 points didn't he have his first 4 games? And in the next, I think the next 5 or 6 games, there were 5 out of the bottom 7 in 6 games run. And in that run, what have we taken? Ignoring Lincoln, 4 points. I think we said before that when we were doing our radio up of how many we were saying you need 12 points. And they've shown absolutely no intention of going to absolutely win those games, knowing that taking 12 points out of them 5 games with what was coming up gave us every chance of finishing in the top 6. Every chance, and that is a specific. That it's a man who's made the choice to play in that way with those players with that setup, and that's what I mean. It's like last year all over again when they blew. We had that run of, or was it the year before? We had a run of about 6 games where it was all the bottom 6, and we took like 3 points or something. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but that's what's frustrating. Is this is yet another missed opportunity. You know, whether you agree with him binning Grant or not. He pulled the trigger early enough for Manning to come in and be effective in the transfer window. But actually, all sound is we've actually regressed. We've actually, in terms of results, we've absolutely regressed.
But do we need to? And I know Matt won't like me saying this, Ian, but do we need to look at the recruitment for that? Why have we got a manager? Why have we got like for like managers? Because it wasn't working under Grant. We were scoring goals. But we've gone from a manager that likes possession to exactly the same thing.
Let me.
I think it's different. I think it's different. I think they're very different, though. I think Grant plays open football. We did play attacking, and we scored loads of goals. We conceded 3 nearly every other game. That's been taken out of it. And Matt spoke about this in quite. We did an extra time episode last night on the Lincoln game, and it was talking about how there's been an overcorrection and we've got so much more defensive because the new coach has come in. It's we're conceding too many goals. Right, let's patch that. And I do stick by, we cannot get promoted or could not get promoted under Lee Grant. We conceded too many goals. And the longer a season goes on, teams like that get found out eventually, like we did under Lee Clark at the end of that year. Although we didn't really lose, did we? However, we got battered by Peterborough when it mattered because, again, they were good attacking-wise, but were better defensively than we were. We've gone from that to a manager that's... You know what, though? I feel like there's, even within his... How many games has Manning been here now? 10 games? 11 games? There's been shifts within. Like you say, we started against Bradford, Luton, went down to 10 men. We started both games well, but then by the time we've gone down to 10 men, it's a different kind of counter-attacking game. Again, both teams came at us because we had 10 and we countered it well. Then we've gone through a period after that where, bar Peterborough, they play a very weird kind of football where you can't really compare it to anything else. They're always super attacking. But again, we took them to shreds, really, bar nearly throwing it away at the end. Then we've gone against teams at the bottom of the division. And now Manning again is focused on the defensive side because we concede too many goals. So we've gone defensive against teams that don't really press too much. And we've struggled. Then yesterday, I feel like if you talk about the Lincoln game on its own, it's a very different kind of talking point because they came at us and we dealt with them far better than everybody else we've dealt with at the bottom of the division because they came at us. And we are now set up to counter teams that open up and have a go. And I feel like with the more difficult fixtures we've got coming up, it might go better for us, which I know most people would think that's fucking mental. But genuinely, based upon yesterday, because I don't think any of us expected the game to start as it did yesterday or have that team selection. I'm jumping your agenda here a little bit, Nick, but I felt like none of us would have picked that team that we started with yesterday. But I don't think any of us can disagree that or argue that Manning didn't get it spot on, and at least initially, in that the game plan was right, the players were right, and we really caused Lincoln problems to an extent none of us expected would happen. But that happened on the back of his own tactical decisions. The way the game played out and the management towards the end, something different. But I feel like Carl said, we kind of play to our opponents somewhat. But that's because when we are so defensive, we need a team to come and attack us. If a team doesn't attack us, we do not have the players to pass through teams and break them down, nor do we have the pace to kind of get around the back. We've got Ashia, but again, we play him on the wrong side. And I don't understand that, Nick. One struggle I have with Liam Manning at the moment is he's making decisions that I don't understand. And I don't want to sound big-headed or anything like that. And I think most of us are the same in this. When we look at what a football manager normally does, most of us kind of get it. We might think it's a wrong decision. We may play somebody else there. But generally, you look at it and you think, I get what he's trying to do here. Ledson was totally dropped out of the team. Well, he obviously didn't play on Saturday. May was out of the team. Dion Charles has disappeared. Anthony Evans didn't even get on after we were in the press conference and had started the game before they started yesterday. There's so many things going on at the moment that I just don't understand. And I'm still not comfortable in saying this is what Lee Manning wants to do with his football team right now. Because yesterday kind of threw everything that happened against Port Vale out the window a little bit because it was far different than I think most of us expected. But again, there was still that lack of change at the end that causes a few problems that I am very, very worried about. But I don't actually know where we are at the moment as a playing team because like we've mentioned here, I think getting his stamp, Liam Manning's stamp his stamp on this team, he's the big boy. You listen to what he said. That's more important for the club at the moment than anything else. And I don't know whether that's the right or wrong thing to do. There's a lot of questions. I feel that's what's happening. Every time we see a game at the moment, there's more questions than answers that we're getting. But on the recruitment side, Nick, quickly, Markham's been in since what, 3-4 months? Directors of football take ages and ages and ages to bring their own guys in. It's a difficult position and it takes time to show it. What I do think is the situation, though, is that Liam Manning is Chris Markham's pick. And I think as of now, that's probably the only thing you can judge Markham on when it comes to what work he's done just yet. I think Liam Manning is his man and he'll be judged because of that eventually when the time comes.
Well, can I just jump in on that? So I agree with you. I think Manning had a track record, Nick. That's the difference between him and Grant for me. You can't say Manning hasn't proved at this level. He knows what it takes. So, and again, I think I said this at the time. If he hadn't have had such a horrendous time at Norwich, he wouldn't be our manager. So there is that. I completely disagree with the recruitment element killer. I think January is an absolute shit show. I think that the quality or the lack of quality being brought in, I'd rather he didn't sign anybody. Mumba's added very little to the squad for £1 million.
Yeah, on Mumba though, on Mumba especially,
Mumba looks like they look like a competition. When now, Mumba's I don't know. He might have played better against Lincoln. I don't know. He might have done. But what I've seen of Mumba, he was no better than the bloke that we bombed out on loan to a championship team. So, where's the value in Mumba? I can't see that. So, and some of that might, and also he would have been absolutely instrumental in the decision to let Taylor go to Wigan. 100%, he was instrumental in that. So. That's not a great start, and I am with you. I'm sure he'll be one to try and pick up the right people in Jan. But we all knew we needed a bit of pace. We all knew we needed some width. We all knew we needed another centre half with legs. We all knew we needed a big lad to play up front, and we got none of them.
But Gaz, where's the money? I think if you look at January as the financial outlay that we've put in or put out, I don't think we've made a massive investment in the squad this January. I feel like players had to leave to bring people in. Obviously, we don't know what figures are involved. Mumba, everyone's saying it's $1 million, but I don't think it is. I think there's.
But even if it's half a million.
Yeah, but you don't know what you got from Ruskin, so you can say it's a swap for a swap, and if it pays off or not, we don't know just yet. I actually think Mumba's better than most other people are on him at the moment. I think the system as a whole doesn't really suit his gameplay. But if was he better against Lincoln? There was a little bit of an error at a point that we'll get onto shortly. But if you ask the Lincoln fans, they were terrified. There were a few of them going through the forums today. They thought Mumba was a danger for us, and not just his defensive output for us, but when he was on the ball, they were worried about him. He did put in a bit more of a shift, and he's playing left back and then right back. He was by far and away not the worst fullback on the pitch yesterday. That was Lasse Sorensen, without any shadow of a doubt. I think we'll all be in entire agreement there. Rarely for this podcast, but I think we can agree on Sorensen being the weakest link on the wing back / fullback front. But with the recruitment, I really think we didn't really put too much into it as we did previously in January. I feel like there was people that had to leave to bring other guys in, and it's a bit of a gamble. You've also got a question, Gaz. How much of a say did Lee Grant have on it? I think we're led to believe there was a bit of a say when it came to Vale Mumba. And then you could argue, I guess, should Lee Grant have gone prior to the window? So then you could bring in somebody in earlier to bring in the players they want for the end of the season. There's all sorts of questions there, but I think it's unfair to judge it all on Markham for this January, to be totally honest, guys. He came in after Lee Grant had come in. You can't come straight in and say, right, change the manager. You've got to kind of get your feet under the table first, don't you, before you make massive changes. So I guess there'll be some of it that's his influence in this one, but I don't think it will be as much as this summer, for example. So I'm a little bit against you on that one, guys, I'm afraid.
I'm intrigued as to the strategy, and I keep jumping forward to what's in the video diary. Just it's something that jumped out to me. I know that we signed Ryan Hardy injured, which I thought was an interesting decision at the time, given the fact that we're not actually brilliant at rehabilitating the players that we injure ourselves. So to add somebody that is coming in injured was an interesting choice anyway. But it was described by Kevin Nagle as we took a risk on Ryan Hardy, and we're yet to see whether that's going to bear fruit. Now, if that's the recruitment strategy, that's deeply worrying. If we'll just take a risk. Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe not. That shows a lack of foresight from at all levels. Surely, doesn't matter if you change the manager or if you change the manager, fair enough. You change the sporting director of football, yes, absolutely. One of the stipulations of that will have been, or could have been, this is the squad here. This is who we think we're going to go and get in the transfer window. And these things are decided before you change the manager and before you change the director of football or the sporting director. So was that a plan that we were going to go and get him injured anyway? Or did Markham or Manning come in and go, I really want Ryan Hardy?
I think, Cal, on that, though, you've got to also realise Joe Taylor's agent sounded like you were making moves to get Joe Taylor out of the club. I think there was all these leaks, wasn't there? Was it Peter O'Rourke? There was all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah. And I think, and this is me speculating, I'd have no basis for fact on this at all, Joe Taylor didn't want to be at the club under Lee Grant by the look of it. I think they pretty clearly didn't get on too well from a professional standpoint. And I think when he left and wanted to leave, we probably had to react pretty quickly. And I'm guessing that's what happened with Ryan Hardy, because we needed some other striker to come in, because Bobby Wales definitely was very much coming in as a backup, wasn't he, rather than coming in to start. We needed an extra body in there because we were short on strikers for a period between May not being about and Charles's form being not great. Let's just go with that one. So I feel like the gamble on Hardy was probably a little bit of a knee-jerk thing because of Joe Taylor not wanting to be here for now.
I mean, it's evidently clear that Joe Taylor was playing himself out of Huddersfield Town, given the miraculous upturn in form that he's had at Wigan. He scores pretty much every week now, and that wasn't the footballer that we had when we had him. So, I can only hope that he's going to come back into the side when his loan ends and be happier with Liam Manning. Or maybe he's just unhappy with Huddersfield Town as a whole, and we'll sell him while his stock's still quite high thanks to Wigan Athletic. So I suppose, we should probably thank them for whatever transfer fee we receive in the end.
They're all good goals as well, Carl. That's the thing. They're not even tap-ins, are they? They're all really good finishes, showing that he's astute at this level. I mean, it's madness, in it? I hope he comes back in and he continues that form and kicks on, because we've got him till 2029 is he contracted to, or something like that. It's a massive contract in it. So I just hope that he comes in reinvigorated and he can continue it, because I can't see Alfie May being here for too long either, if I'm being honest. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be in Manning's plans long term. And we need more physicality and height up there. Of course we do. So I think if May was to go, we need to keep hold of Taylor and get another big striker in. I don't know if Hardy was top of the list, Carl. I saw a rumour Barnes were linked with, and there'll be some others I'm sure will have made some inquiries. I'm pretty sure he wasn't top of the list, but at the end of the day, he's a good striker. But how many gambles have we taken on players before with injury records? Look at Jack Watmore, his injury record. Look, how many games has he played for us? 3 or 4. I mean, Mikael Miller, big injury record. We thought we could get a tune out of him because he's a decent player. He's been injured more often than not. There's so many of these players that we've taken gambles on before, and very, very rarely has it paid off.
We've also got the problem of the players that seem to have spotless records until they walk through the doors at Canalside, and then they become the most injury-prone footballers in the Football League. Rodinho Bolka comes to mind. Didn't miss a game in the Eredivisie when he was playing in Holland, and has come to Huddersfield Town and has played in spells and then just been injured sort of categorically as his time has gone on.
Yeah. McGuane was another one. I don't think he had an awful injury record before he came. Not seeing him much. There's so many. I'd forgotten Reece Ely existed until someone mentioned him other week, and I was like, oh yeah, he's still here, isn't he? He's still here. But his contract's up at the end of the season. So, right, let's get on to Lincoln, because we're 40-odd minutes in here and we haven't got on to Lincoln. So, I mean, 16,301 was the published gate. I'm now, call me a bit skeptical, but yeah, it didn't look like that, did it? But I don't blame people for staying away based on recent performances, I've got to be honest. But 3-4-2-1, we had Evans up with Hardy, so he did have some height up with him. And to be fair, and Kasumo linking between that defence and attack. And I thought that Hardy probably had his best game for us up there. I thought he was that focal point. I think Evans and Kasumo winning them second balls. I thought it worked in the first half. I thought we maybe caught Lincoln a little bit by surprise. And I mean, I don't think I was the only one scratching my head. Went 1-0 up and then 2-0 up. But I thought the first goal, Hardy, I thought was really, really good goal, actually. We don't score many goals playing through the middle, but I thought the link-up play was good. And then Hardy sells the defender with a little drop of the shoulder, turns back, sends the keeper the wrong way, thinks he's going to put it to the right, and he just puts it to the left. And it's a really cool, composed finish, isn't it? And I thought, you know what? We've actually come out and actually taken the game to them, which was brilliant.
It's a setup no one expected, wasn't it? Sorry, guys. It's a setup no one expected, though. We went with 2 up top. This is the part that absolutely baffled me. Again, looking at the team selection, Anthony Evans comes in from absolutely nowhere, having not played at all against Port Vale. He's not just starting in midfield, he's starting up top in a front two. It took us all by surprise. It took Lincoln all by surprise. And again, like Carl's mentioned there, we are cursed for whatever reason. Well, I think I know the reason, but generally we are cursed over the last few years. When anybody walks through this door, no matter how many goals they've scored, no matter what reputation they've got elsewhere, they've played up front, they come to us, look like they've never played football before, and they wouldn't get a start in the Net Terriers team. And now you can continuously say managers, oh, well, we can't be shit. The players don't play for the manager. You can't always be the manager. Yet we always keep blaming strikers. I've seen, like I say this week, Alfie May's shit now. Alfie May's awful. His legs have gone. Hang on. We've just been saying the same thing about Joe Taylor for months, and then he goes to Wigan, scores 8 in 12 or whatever it is, 6 in 8, whatever his goal-scoring record is. And then at the same breath, people are still saying Alfie May's gone because he can't create chances anymore. No. Lads and lasses, the problem has been that we don't create enough chances. We did initially at the beginning of the season for Lee Grant's Town, but as soon as he started to worry that we were conceding too many goals, we shifted entirely and just stopped creating chances. We had strikers up on their own. We weren't getting the ball to them quick enough. We didn't have anybody supporting them whatsoever, and they looked like they were never going to score a goal. We never created anything at all. You put 2 up top. You put Evans up with Ryan Hardy against the best defence in the division, right? And we look like world beaters for 40 minutes. The last 5 minutes of the first half, Anthony Evans died. Obviously, he's not played too much and not in that role before. So his fitness dropped. And when his fitness dropped, so did the team's performance, because Lincoln could play out from the back the way they wanted to. But when we went with 2 up top, they weren't ready for it, couldn't handle it, and we got loads of chances because of it. That Ryan Hardy goal is fantastic. What a phenomenal piece of football. Not just from Ryan Hardy, but the way Kasumu gets it down the middle into Evans, down the middle into Ryan Hardy again, down the middle of football, like you say. We don't score goals in open play down the middle very often, but we did. And the best part about it for me was that we knew we couldn't win the midfield battle against Lincoln playing football. We don't have the ball players to do it, right? What we can do is you can put your Ratters in there, you can put your Ledsons in there, your Kasumus and your Humphreys, who I actually think, guys, quietly, has been one of the better performers over the last few games. He's not an all-action ball-playing midfielder like Lewis O'Brien is, but he rats and he can play a little bit better than Ryan Ledson can, let's just say that, for the very, very least. But you've got 3 Ratters in there. If you've got Anthony Evans up top fighting for the ball with Ryan Hardy, if they don't win the ball, they'll pick up the second ball, and that's how we attack the game. Again, for me, boys, I don't want to overstate it, but it was a tactical win for Liam Manning in that first 40, 45 minutes, because we played in a way that caused Lincoln problems based upon how they played. We showed them the respect I think we have to do to other teams, in that, okay, you are focused on yourself. You do need to play your own way. But when you can see weaknesses in other teams, you attack that weakness. Ryan Hardy played on the shoulder of Sonny Bradley all first half. Sonny Bradley wanted fuck all to do with it. Because Anthony Evans was there, they had to go man for man at times on the strikers. They couldn't pass it on. We all know, as you get older, you drop back in football, you become a central midfielder and then a centre-back, right? And when you get even older than that, you make sure you're playing next to somebody who's a bit younger who'll do that man marking for you. So you don't have to mark and you can just sweep and keep it easy. Sonny Bradley wants that at this point in his career. And he's really, really good at it. And if you allow him to do it when you're only playing 1 up top, he'll eat you up, no problem. But when you put Ryan Hardy on his shoulder, running laterally behind him, they couldn't handle it. And that's where most of our good fortune came from in that first half. And again, it's down to Liam Manning. He picked that team. He knew that would work, or thought it would work, and it was proven to work. But Ryan Hardy, to say he's been injured and not played too much, I know he scored for us once before this, but he's looked pretty rough, hasn't he, around the edges, in that he doesn't look match fit. To suddenly turn it on like he did and score a goal like that, like you say, he's sent the defender one way and then sent the goalkeeper the other. A fantastic finish. And we don't create a gluttony of chances for strikers. So for it to come up once, 15 minutes into a game as big as yesterday, and for him to finish as cool as that, that's a sign of a quality striker. And right now, I doubt will be with us next year. I think he's too good for this division, and it's just lucky that we've got him now. And if he does stay fit, I know he came off injured towards the end of the game or 50 minutes in. If he's not too badly injured and he is fit, and Radulovic comes back at some point, we've got a strike force that can make us relevant if we can hold on to the top 6 and still be in the mix with everybody else. But fantastic finish from a fantastic player. But again, down to Liam Manning, I thought the way we started the game and the way we tried to take it to Lincoln was brave. It was fighting steel with steel, is how I referred to it as yesterday. Whereas against Port Vale, it felt like we just kind of just went through the motions, as we've done many, many times this year. And that's even more frustrating, isn't it? You go to Port Vale, play that way, Lincoln Tuesday night, and you go about it. And afterwards, I'm thinking, why wouldn't we just try play like with this tempo and this intensity on Saturday? Why don't we do that? Why is it sometimes we do and sometimes we don't? And I don't think it's the players. I think it's the instructions from the sideline. That's where I'm at with it. I still don't think it's the players. I think it's the instructions, because the way they were instructed to go yesterday was spot on for most of the game.
It's inconsistency though, Ian, isn't it? Like you say, we play like that first half against Lincoln at home, but yet against Port Vale, we don't offer anything like that intensity. And I think he just wanted to get two big uns up top, didn't he? Because you look at Lincoln's back line, it's like 4 tree beards at back, in it. Do you know what I mean? So just having two big strikers up there, someone to get ball up to win the knockdowns, it made a big difference. And I hope it continues as long as Hardy's keeping fit. I'm hoping he continues with that setup going forward. But who knows? Because it keeps chopping and changing again. We're not seeing a settled side, and we haven't really seen a settled side all season, have we? And part of that is to do with injuries, but also there's too much tinkering going on for me. But we start really well. 5 minutes later, we have a long throw. Now I don't know is that the first long throw we've scored from for all season, if not more. I can't remember the last time we scored from one of these long throws, but it's poor defensive header, to be fair, from Lincoln. But Ledson, it's a really good finish. I mean, he doesn't think twice, does he? Just smashes it in. And by this point, we're thinking, my God, we might actually get something from this, you know. 2-0 up after 20 minutes. It was great.
Ironic, really. I was actually while the game was on, I was getting updates from Wickham Market's most famous Huddersfield Town fan. And I was actually in Waco. I was more worried about a massacre down Leeds Road than I was in Waco yesterday. So to get the news we were 2-0 up came as a bit of a surprise, really. I watched the highlights back, and also had the commentary fed through by Connor. And I think, I know you, Carl, I think actually you really have to credit Liam Manning. I think, because I looked at that lineup, and I did not look at that lineup and think, well, that looks like 2 up top. I don't get anybody did. So for him to pull that off and for it to be so effective was you have to, we're happy to moan, aren't we? So you also have to give credit where it's due, and it was clearly really effective. And I'm with you, Kelly, and that's the thing with this league. You've got to be able to earn your right to play. You've got to show respect to your opponent. You've got to earn your right. And then we as a team really should then be able to win games through the quality that can come through. And we don't do that on a regular enough basis. But yeah, I can imagine the 8,000 or so that were in the stadium probably were having a pretty good time when that second goal went. It was a really crisp strike. Just a shame, really. I think that's one of them games where I think you've got to see out 15-20, get to half time at 2-0 and give yourself a chance to get reorganised. But probably Lincoln, certainly the second goal, Lincoln will look at it and be disappointed with it. And I guess the Lincoln's first goal, Town fans are probably, and the management team will look at that and be really disappointed with it. I mean, what the fucking hell Feeney was doing, I've absolutely no idea. I think he was more interested in wrestling the man, wasn't he, than trying to go and head the ball. That was a problem, and he just hits him. So that was the disappointing part, really. I think if you could see it out to half time at 2-0, get yourself reorganised, then you've every chance of going on and winning that game. But once they score, they're encouraged to back in it, aren't they? So
shove him up top, mate. Because I tell you, Bouvie-esque that header from Feeney. I don't think we're harder to get it. I don't think now he managed to get it in top corner. I don't know what he's trying to do.
Finish, it is quite a good finish, to be fair. It's in wrong goal, but it's a good finish.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, it's. Look, I was watching it with my mate Dave. He's a Lincoln fan. He'll be listening to this, so shout out to him. And he wasn't confident. He thought, look, we're on this unbeaten run. We're going to end at some point. We go 2-0 up. But I said, mate, do you know what? This is Town. So, and with Huddersfield Town, there's always that chance you're going to get back into it. And yeah, I felt sorry for Feeney because I thought I didn't think he had too bad a game other than that. But obviously, we'll talk about the penalty or no penalty incident in a bit. But yeah, when you concede a goal like that, it just gives Lincoln hope, doesn't it? From nothing as well. Like they weren't all over us. We were in control, and suddenly, bang! It's another long throw, and we struggled to deal with long throws, corners, free kicks. We struggled all season, and it just gives Lincoln that hope. And from then on, they just grew and grew into the game. They had another chance, I think, just before half time where we block it off the line.
Yeah, well, it's off the line, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then we go into second half and they just keep pushing. And then, Andy, we'll talk about the penalty decision. it strikes Feeney's hand in the box. I mean, it looks like he saves it almost. Yes, he's falling, and yes, his hand, he's naturally going to go down in that position, but kind of similar to the Mumba penalty at Donny. Really, if that's VAR, if that's it Premier League, they're giving a penalty all day long for that. In my opinion,
I'm not.
Are you not? You see it?
No, Mael. Never seen a penalty. Never seen a penalty. One, a brilliant referee is not giving a penalty.
If that were in Premier League, that would not be given as a penalty.
He's 4 yards away from him. He's blasted it at him. He's falling down. The only place his hand is going to be in a natural position if it's up here. What the hell's he supposed to do with his arm? That is not a penalty. Excellent decision by the referee. Play on. Corner to Lincoln.
I will say, if I was a Lincoln fan,
that is not a penalty. That is not a penalty.
The other way around.
Yeah, of course it would.
I'd have been thrown.
But it's not a pen. It's not a penalty.
He's rattled. I've never seen Andy so rattled, Nick. Andy's gone on. Fucking hell. It's all right.
He did it twice. And got laughed at.
He did it twice.
Absolutely not a penalty. To be fair, and you can all find it comments. It's not a penalty.
I don't actually know what the rule is. I got a fucking clue what the rule is. But I will say, if you're diving in to block a shot, your hand's naturally there. So his hand is in a natural position. I don't know what the rule is. You ain't got time to take it away from it.
It stood like that.
There's a different.
Get you.
Yeah, I don't understand what the rule is. The only thing I will say is it's not intentional because it's been smashed and it's falling. You put your hand down. You can't not put your hand down. It's exactly what you do. It's just the thing is though. The thing is about that first goal. The thing that really pissed me off about that is Lincoln are masters of the dark arts, right? So every throw-in, like the one that was cleared off the line by Wallace, I think that was another throw. It might have been a corner. They've got like blockers. So they have guys that are designed runs to move people out of the way. They're not even bothered about trying to head the ball. They grab them, they pull them, they tug. That's what they do, right? And I think the higher Lincoln go, like in the Championship next year, I don't think they can attack corners and throw-ins as they do. I think in League One and League Two, it's kind of accepted because it's a little bit more of a physical game. And you're allowed to do it. If you get into the upper echelons where they protect players pretty much from any form of physical tackle, they won't be able to do it that way. The thing with that first goal that pissed me off the most was it was the worst throw-in that they had. It was terrible. There was no one near him, Sonny Bradley. There wasn't even trying to head the ball because he was falling forward. I finished put it in the top corner. It was just a shame because, like Gaz mentioned there, if we get 2-0 to half-time, I think that game is very, very different. But we just gave them the in when they didn't deserve it. It was the worst chance that they had. It was the worst set piece that they had. And somehow we managed to put it in our own goal. There's nothing on Lee Nichols either. People are trying to blame him for that. It's Feeney who should have a clear header of that ball to get it out, and somehow he's putting his own. But back to the penalty shout. I just no. Not for me, based upon my own understanding that if it's in a natural position. But I will say, even that isn't necessarily what changed the game. What changed the game was the substitution with Anthony Evans when he goes off after I think 60 minutes. May comes on first for Hardy. Hardy gets injured in the 52nd minute. I actually don't think that changed too much. I think even when May came straight back on, he took the goalkeeper out with a fair challenge-ish with a high foot. And after that, there were a couple where we were pressing high and nearly got onto it. And I thought we were fine. The moment we took Evans off, we swapped back to the old 3-4-2-1 formation that hasn't worked at any point recently. And that's what really pissed me off, in that we've gone two up top. We've really taken it to Lincoln. We've done everything we can. But I feel like that moment, and Lasse Sorensen coming on for Gooch before, because I thought Gooch was really solid. Not great going forward, but defensively did his job. It didn't look like we were in trouble on that side. Sorensen comes on, changes everything in that we look fucking awful down that side. The gap between himself and Feeney was huge. Every time Sorensen got done, either by Hackett or One, who came on, Feeney wasn't anywhere near to support him, and they just kept going down and down that side. And it started a succession of substitutions where each and every time I felt it was not only wrong. I understand we had to make a change because people got tired, but I felt the people that came on just made us more and more defensive each and every time. And it started with Sorensen. When Evans goes off, we have Harness that comes on, and Harness can play as that secondary striker. We've seen it before. He did it at Derby, I think, for a season and scored 9 goals or so. But instead of sticking two up top, we've fallen into the old Huddersfield Town trap that we've seen so many times before. Defend a 1-goal lead, you get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, give more and more throw-ins away, give more and more corners away. And at that point, I felt like we all kind of accepted it. It was just a matter of time because everything we did well in that first half, we didn't do in the second half. And I understand there's a natural progression in a game where you're winning by 1 and you do naturally sit deeper. But I felt like we did everything we could, unfortunately, to make it harder for us instead of better for us, because I do think there was personnel there to make it easier. You had Cam Ashia that could have come on to stretch that field. But instead, we took Kasumu off, who was at that point one of the only guys running still, him and Humphreys. And we bring McGuane on, which I don't think anyone in the stadium or at home watching thought that was the right thing to do. Because we know McGuane sits deeper. We know he doesn't really get the ball forward quickly. He likes to control games against a team that are pressing everybody forward like Lincoln were doing, because they were chasing a game, unlike the way we try and go about it seems. We brought in a guy that was slower and made us deeper and deeper and deeper. And to me, I know it took until the 93rd minute for it to fall apart. I think we all accepted it were happening before then, because the way Town suddenly started to play when Evans went off was never going to be enough to see it out against a team that scores late on. And we always concede late on. We've had a problem with that pretty much most of this season, that we do tire. I think it's because when we don't control midfield and you're trying to get 11 men behind the ball all the time, that's a lot more running you have to do. When you leave 1 or 2 up, you can take turns to kind of stay. Doesn't sound like much, but when other teams do that, when you have hit 70 minutes, your guys get knackered more than their guys. And that's why game after game after game, including Port Vale boys, I think we always end weak because we've raced back to get so many people behind the ball all game. And that is something I want to see change between now and the end of the season, because I really do think that's hindering the way we finish games. But the substitutions we made is why I reckon we failed to win that game. Not the actual initial setup, thought we'll bang on, but the way we just got deeper and deeper and deeper. And Manning after the game spoke about players needing to do more in game management, and I think he's trying to say they got that wrong. I think the substitutions were wrong as well, because I don't think I can remember a game calling out for Kamashi more than that did at the end just to stretch the field.
What about Jack Watmore? Did Feeney stay on for the entire game? Because I was pacing up and down my hotel room, so I wasn't watching it. I was just listening to it. And that, for me, is screaming out for experience. In the last sort of 10, 15 minutes of the game, he's been booked. He's scored an own goal. He's getting ripped to shreds down the right-hand side because of the situation with Sorensen. That was screaming for Watmore to come on and show us a bit of experience and a bit of... I've been crying out all season for a bit of bastard. We need a bit of fight, energy, a bit of bastard in a situation like that, because Lincoln had it, and the whole team is based on that. And fair play to them. Look how well they're doing, and I think they'll deserve to go up. So there's no discredit to the way that they play football at all here from me. But we lacked that. We lacked that character, and one thing that Watmore has got is character and experience. And I think that was the substitution that, for me, at 75 minutes in, Feeney off, Watmore on. If you're going to sit back and do that, you need a bit of the dark arts, a bit of game management, which Manning said they didn't do. Well, put the lads on who've got the nous and experience that can do that, rather than, I'm not sure how old Feeney is, 20, 21. He hasn't got that in his armoury yet. So that, for me, was a little bit of a that's an error on Manning's part for me. I would have made that sub.
Dare I say, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'd have probably put Charles on the bench instead of Ashia for this one, because I think if ever a game called for Dion Charles, it was that last 20 minutes, just to be a pain in the ass, not to score obviously, but just to be a pain in the ass, ratting around, trying to force them back, just ask a few questions, keep that two up top, like you said, Ian, just keep that pressure on. You've got to defend from the front. I knew it would come in. I said to my mate, look, you've got plenty of time here. You just knew. Lincoln had a couple of headers, I think, one over when probably should have got it on target. Their defender, I think Amer has another, just whistles past the post, and you could see what were going to happen. So I just think, I agree, I think he got his bench wrong for this as well. I think Dion Charles, there's not many games where I would call for Dion Charles to come on, to be honest, but I think in a game like this, where you're hanging on, and you need someone just to cause a few problems, ask a few questions, I think it'd be a no-brainer. I don't see what Ashley's going to do in that kind of game against that side, sort of physical team. I'm not sure what he thought it was going to offer there. So, but yeah, the goal inevitably comes from a long throw, and Mumba gets it all wrong. It bounces off him. Instead of just hitting it out, it bounces off him. And as I say, we've struggled from set pieces, long throws, corners. We always struggle, and I think it's just a case of we ran out of steam, and they're just big physical units. And eventually, if you knock on the door, if you bash the door, eventually it's going to come down, isn't it? It's going to open or come down, and that's exactly what happened. And it's very frustrating because you could see they were trying. They put so much effort in, and to only come away with a point from that is disappointing, isn't it? What's going on with Ian?
Yes. Yes. Is the answer to your question?
Yes, we agree. We agree.
Well,
yeah, it is hindsight,
right,
mate. But I'm just thinking, like, looking at the way Lincoln are, the physicality. For me, I would be choosing physical players on that bench. Personally,
I know what you said, but I think in the grand scheme of things, is it a good point in isolation? You have to say, yeah, it is, right. Yeah. Even though we were 2-0 up, the problem is when you put it in the context of those games I just talked about before, them 6 games where we took fucking 4 points from where we should have taken 10 or 12, then it ain't. Every game now is a must win if you can have a chance of, that single point dropped us out of the playoffs. So, yeah. But it hasn't, has it? That drawing at home to Lincoln hasn't got a 7th position. It's the shit performances in the 6 games before that's put us in 7th position.
I said it after the game. I can't defend a game that's dropped us out of the playoffs where for 45 minutes we've essentially what we've done is sat back and allowed them to have a go when we were in the driving seat going into half time, and we could have won that game and we should have won that game, but we didn't. We came out, it's this borderline personality disorder that Huddersfield Town seem to have at the minute, where if we're winning something and it's going well, we will try by hook or by crook to make it go the other way. So we sat back, we were more passive, we bought on players that were slower than their counterparts, which made it easier for Lincoln to get in behind. And eventually, what did you expect? It was coming, and everybody could feel it. In the ground, all 16,000 of us could feel it.
Yeah. And do you think, injuries have obviously crippled us this season again, because if Jack Watmore's fit, he plays, doesn't he? If McGuane's fit, he probably starts. We've got so many players who are walking on eggshells with Evans, Hardy not fully fit. Mm. And that's probably why he's having to pick and choose what games to play Evans in and the like, because they're not capable of playing sustained run of games, and it's absolutely killing us, and it did last season. And I know Mr. Nagle mentioned it in his diary, which we'll get onto next, but apparently they're going to look at injuries, and I don't know how, because we're stuck with these players for another season at least, so I don't really know what they're going to do, to be quite honest, but it's a real problem, and until we get to the bottom of that, we're never going to get a settled side out there, and we're never going to be able to fully utilise the squad. Lincoln fans saying here we've got one of the best strikers in League One at Wigan. Yeah, I know, mate. It will good for you as well. It just makes it look all the more baffling, the decision. But as we've said, he wasn't happy at Town. Would he have been in that form for us? Who knows? Under Manning, maybe, but we'll never know. It could have gone other way. So it is what it is. We've just got to move on. So anything else anyone wants to say on the Lincoln game before we move on? No. Right. So Kevin's latest video diary. So I think everybody here has seen it. Most people will have watched it, listened to it. I'm keen to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well, listeners. What you thought to it. You never get tons of information in these things. Some people say it's nice to have that sort of avenue of communication. Others would say, do you see many other clubs doing it? The answer is no, and maybe there's a reason for that. But I picked out a couple of things from it. Firstly, you said that the relegation was unfortunate but inherited, and it wasn't really on our watch when they came in, when we were just surviving under Warnock, and then decided to get rid of him, which to me is the worst decision he's made since he's been here, because that started as, although we didn't have a great pre-season. I think Neil Warnock probably keeps us up because that's what he does. So, to me, stick with him for the season and then rebuild the following summer. And I think most fans would have understood that. And then he pointed to some inaccuracies with the podcasts. And I think he's referring to the article on Takes That Chance from Johnny Mack. But at the end of the day, what I would say is, and I don't know if Kevin Nagle, I know he listens to some podcasts. I don't know if he listens to us, to this series. I doubt it. Gaz doubts it as well.
Just nip up rope, Gaz. Just call him, see if he does.
But if he is, then I would say that these are platforms for fans' opinion. They aren't stipulated as fact. They are there for fans to provide their opinion on what's going on, whether that's right or wrong. It's open to interpretation. People will disagree on everything that goes out on these podcasts, but that's the whole point of these, is to generate discussion and debate amongst the fans. And that person obviously felt that strongly enough to write the article of expressing their opinions, and that's absolutely fine. I know that he said, nobody approached me for questions, but when pods have approached him in the past to speak, not really gotten anywhere. So I don't know. I think, look, I'm a fan of Kev's to the point where he's put money in, and he's obviously, I think he is a passionate guy. He wants Town to do well. I generally think he wants Town to succeed. But I just think that he's got to be able to let the fans express their own opinions. Like it or not, the performances on the pitch haven't been good enough. And he's acknowledged that. And so you've got to expect some negativity in response to that. And singling out fans and saying, well, the golden 25% or whatever that go every game, and then you have the other sort of ones on the fence, and then you have 25% who are really negative, or similar words to that effect. I don't really agree with that. I think at the end of the day, everybody's passionate. Everybody is a Town fan. We all express it in different ways, but everyone has a right to that. And if the performances are awful, you've got to expect people not to want to go. People will go to see a product, pay for a product if it's good enough. But the fact is that with all the expectation, the money spent, we're in this position yet again where they've under-delivered massively. So that's my views on it. Gaz, I'll go to you first, mate. Did you pick anything out of it, mate? No. Have you listened to it?
Yeah, only that. I think that maybe there's a difference to the way these kind of things are done and delivered in the States. Don't really know whether he thinks in his fucking some kind of deranged world he thinks we're professional journalists. I have absolutely no idea what he was talking about. I mean, I must have penned 20 responses to him on Twitter and then deleted everyone. And Ian's response I actually thought was really, it was a decent. I almost said something nice about you, killer. I thought it was really constructive, and I thought it was really fair and really balanced. And actually, it was. That's the point. I think. And he talks about the golden 25%. It's not that long ago. Everybody was behind this club. You don't have to go that far back to remember a club, a town, a fan base, a team of players who were 100% united, 100% pulling in the same direction. Isn't that long ago, is it? So, this thing, if he's got in his head that a quarter of us are always going to be tossers, well, it might become a self-fulfilling prophecy if he continues to behave as he is doing. So, well, I'm with you, Nick. I'm a fan. I think he's done more for this club than probably some other owners may or may not have done. But he also has to learn when to speak and when not to speak. And I think that's why he's got the ego the size of a jumbo jet. And when you've got the money he has, that's probably comes with the territory, right? That I think most billionaires do have egos, don't they? I mean, I look at Andy. I mean, Andy ain't got £100 and look at the size of his ego. So imagine if you've got Kevin.
My finances. No, cocker. I've got near £100. What do you mean?
Yeah. But yeah, so I just wonder if these diaries have run the course. I don't think they had any value. I don't think not to anybody really, other than him feeling better for telling us all we don't know what we're talking about. And I think that was the other thing that came out of it. There was a little bit of that whole leave it to the professional kids theme that seems to be running through the club as well, which I really don't like. I really don't like that, because we might not be professional football people, but we know what we see with our own fucking eyes, don't we, on a Saturday? So yeah, I think maybe the course was run for me, Nick. If I were him, I'd be knocking him on the head.
Thing is, when people have sorry, Nick.
No, go on.
When people have an ego, or now if you are a millionaire / billionaire, whatever it is, we're not entirely sure. You've got the right to be a billionaire, to have a bit of an ego. I can't sit here and say strikers have an ego. That's why they score so many goals. So when they're a dickhead, you've got to accept they're being a dickhead and manage that expectation, because that's what it takes to score goals. Now, I think to be as wealthy as Kev is, you've got to have a certain attitude and a certain ego. I think it takes a certain kind of drive. Certain people love that, other people criticize it, whatever. I think you have to be that way to be, as I'll say, successful, if that's what success is. If success is money to you, fine. But you have to be a certain way, I think, to get to where Kev's been. So there is an ego hit. And I'll be honest, boys, I still think that video is a panic because the attendances have dropped. I think when you are a certain type of person, money speaks. And when people aren't turning up, you can say what the fuck you want. But the proof is in people are not turning up. And now this was forecasted many moons ago through questionnaires, through research, through meetings from HCSA, through podcasts like this, saying if you put the price up, people expect more. You're risking alienating fans, and it'll make it tough to get them through the door. And if you lose fans, it's hard to get them back. I still think that's a huge reason why this diary came out, because, again, as Kev said, we want people there. I'm not entirely sure there's only 25% knobheads, guys, or whatever you referred to it as. There's more than 25% of us that are absolute dickheads. I think 50% is probably more. On here, we're about 80%. Carl, I won't chuck you in this one. And to be fair, has Kev not been on your podcast?
You absolutely can chuck me in there, by the way.
Oh, no, but Carl, Kev's been on yours, hasn't it? And Kev's turned up to you boys, hasn't it?
No. So he's not done the podcast. So he won't face the podcast, but he allowed Steve to interview him one-on-one.
See, so we can't count you boys in 25% dickheads, because you're not, clearly. They think they're all right.
I suspect, or it's a wonderful coincidence, but the Sunday before this diary, I was on our podcast saying that he's been badly advised by people because he doesn't know anything about English football and British sports. Ironic that he then mentions this in the diary. Now, either a lot of people are saying it, which you'd worry then that it might be true, or he's watched the West Yorkshire Football Show, which, to be honest, is inflating my ego. Something ridiculous.
To be fair, Carl, I don't want to shit on your parade here, like, a little bit. However, apparently Let's Go saw that in stadium, didn't he, yesterday? There were a photo going on Twitter that something awful had happened in the stadium, if you noticed. However, I'm pretty sure that might have been a fox or a cat, but we digress here. The thing is, David Attrick also thought that there might be a fault, if you noticed, because he tweeted Kevin as well, saying you're welcome on the podcast anytime. So I think we all think it's about us. We all think it's about ourselves, don't we? The only thing I will say on this, what I will say is, Dino, Big Phil, as he refers to him as himself, as it turned out on Twitter this week, if you noticed that one as well. But both Dino and Big Phil's turned up to Matt's house for a podcast in person. The only person that hasn't done that is Kevin Nagle. And now, again, that's not because we're not willing. It's not willing to do that. To be fair, I think Big Phil turned up with a driver, to be totally honest, but that's Matt's story to tell, not mine. But again, the only person that hasn't had an open forum with Takes That Chance so far is Kevin Nagle. So when it comes to talking openly and having an opportunity to speak, again, this is not something that Takes That Chance closes down at all. And I want that to be, and Matt wants that to be clear to everybody. It's not that we're not willing to interview or anything like that. It's that up until now, it's not happened. And we've spoke to people before in various different guises to suggest it could happen. And again, it's definitely not happened, but it's not from our side. I think that's really important to know. So when the journalistic standards being branded about here, there and everywhere, that it should be better, I don't think you can expect that from us. Look at us, we're a right ragtag bunch of nobodies. So you've got to have realistic expectations. It's a tough place to come here and people's happy, Kev. It's a tough place to come.
I don't think it is, though. I don't think it is, mate, because I think Kevin Nagle wants dialogue with the podcasters, but not necessarily to be interviewed. And that's fine. But we don't, we represent voices of fans. You know, the whole point of this is a platform for all Huddersfield fans to come on and have their say. It's not just about us. You know, we represent everybody, as does like all the other organisations. And so I think, you know, why not have an interview where fans can ask questions and he'd be open and honest. He says he's never shied away from the question, according to Carmichael Dave on the video diary, which is great. Well, you know, either come on there, you know, come on here and have people come on and they can pose questions on here, and we can obviously any abuse would be swiftly deleted.
But asked by Stephen Shepherd, deleted instantly.
We won't let Stephen Shepherd on, obviously, but anybody else that come on, you know, everybody would have a chance then to post a question. You could read out, you could interact, and he's showing there that he's willing to stand up and actually have live dialogue with the fans, unscripted, which I don't understand why that's such a big no-no to anybody, or why that
entirely, is. It seems entirely performative, and I should say at this point, I do not have the funds for legal representation against Kevin Nagle. These are not the views of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. Okay. I think it's entirely performative so that he has something to say that we can deflect to when things are not going so well on the pitch and the attendances are low. Well, you know, these people are saying not very nice things about me, but they've not given me the chance to defend myself. That is factually untrue. And the contradictions that run through the diary, if you can pick them out, you can't sit there and say, I know lots about English football and I've not been badly advised, but yes, I did have to sack my director of football, and yes, I have sacked a handful of managers, as he says. That it's a walking contradiction. So either allow a public forum where you are questioned with integrity, or get rid of the diaries at all, because they are offering nothing apart from a space where there is a lot of hot air generated with not a lot of actual output.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Well said, Cal.
I think it's at least we have opinions, like you put out in your tweet. I think sometimes he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. I didn't pay a huge amount of attention to the last one because it did feel like a defense of his regime, his way of doing things, and that's fine. That's entirely within his grasp. That's his entire platform to do the way that he wants to do that. And I take what Callum's saying about, you know, there doesn't feel to be a lot of substance behind it. That's fine to have that opinion as well. We are allowed to have these opinions, like Nick was saying. That the fact that we are here to talk about them, it shows that we give a shit about the club that we've loved for 25, 30, 40, 50 odd years. And we will carry on doing that long after any regime moves on. You've got to accept that people have different views and we look at things in different ways. And that's okay. That's how things develop. So that's a good thing to have. It is not a bad thing for us not to agree with what Kev's done and how he's done it. It's also just as good a thing for us to agree with him. That's fine. But please don't try and shut us down because you don't agree with what we've got to say. That is the bit that I'm not fond of. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So you can have your opinions. We're not journalists. I'm not a journalist. I'm a bloke who's loved my club for 55 years and will until the day you stick me in a box. But I'm always going to have an opinion about it, and I feel comfortable with expressing my opinion about what I think. I'll be honest, the last one that I didn't even pay much attention to it. So I'm glad that he does it. That for people that want that, I used to really enjoy the stuff before. It was really refreshing to see. I think as other people have put, they've outlived their usefulness now, because I think he's going to get flack, whatever way he puts it. So for me, if you're not going to engage with us on a way that works for both parties, I'd save your breath, because I don't think it's helping you, and I don't think it's generating anything of any value to us. So
yeah. It's a problem, and like Jed Robinson says, and this would be a nice little segue to this next piece, Ian, about the season cards, won't it? But it is a concern. You look at the crowd, we're back down to the days of 7,000-8,000 in the ground at the moment, aren't we? It's honestly, if you think of where we were just 8 years ago to now, and I think B. Peel put something on about, have they done a poll about the season cards? And I think there was one on down at the Mac done a few weeks ago. And I think around 70 from memory, correct me if I'm right, I think around 70% said they would renew. But if you think, I mean, people that take time to go on forums and to listen to podcasts, we're not even the ones that really should be worried about, because if we're taking up our valuable time to post on forums and listen to this and come on and talk shite on here, we're always going to be invested. It's the 7,000 fans that just get up and walk out and can't be bothered that he's got problems.
Got problems, yeah.
And the HTSA have posted this written statement to the football club. I'll read it out. We've put it on here, but for those listening on Spotify, I'll read it out. It's on X as well. HTSA has written to Huddersfield Town about season cap prices for next season. We've urged the club to keep prices as affordable as possible for all supporters. Specifically, we've asked them to look at the over 65 discount and bring it closer to what other clubs offer, and to extend the under 21 concession to under 23 so more young fans can afford to attend games. We hope this will help hit hardest by the cost of living, help keep coming through the turnstiles and support the next generation of Town fans. And guys, surely there's got to be some allowances for this season here in totting up the cost of next season car prices, because there is a real danger here because they put them up by such a large amount. There is a real danger that if these go up again, or if they don't make discounts for certain supporter groups, that we're going to be down to those crowds that we saw yesterday are going to be the norm.
Well, there's rumours on social media, isn't there, that he's talking about freezing them. I've seen some tweets today from people who claim to be in the know, good source and all of that. So, I mean, if that is the case, I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised. I think there probably will be an inflation rise for general. And for me, the HTSA are on the nail for me, really. It should always be about trying to give more people more access rather than overall pricing in and as of itself. But yeah, whatever happens, he isn't going to be able to do what he did this year, which is say, well, we might have lost 3,000 or 4,000, but out of 2 million quid up. He ain't going to be seeing that this time, is he?
No.
And I think for me, to generate the sort of goodwill that's been lost and get the people back that have already been lost, like we said earlier, how many people are walking up to the ticket office yesterday and buying a ticket for that game? I reckon you could count it on one hand. So how do you get them people back? How do you engage those people? Because let's have it right, that we are not necessarily the ones that are going to the games and going in the club shop and making a day of it, because we do it all the time. So you'll get your season ticket and you'll go to the game, but then you'll have your ritual, you'll go elsewhere. It's the people that don't do it every week that you're trying to bring in, because they'll spend money in the shop. They'll treat it as an experience rather than a routine. So how do you engage those people? And for me, what you have to do is you have to incentivize them in the same way that the Wagner Revolution incentivized people to come down and get engaged that season. You've got to incentivize them to be there. We're not doing that on the pitch, so we've got to do that in the pricing. How do you make it so that if you sell 8,000 season tickets, you get the same amount of revenue as if you sell 15,000? You lower the price and try and sell more.
Yeah.
I think they're in a position here where there's no way they can put season ticket prices up again. They just can't. I think the falling attendances has forced the hand. I don't know what they wanted to do. I don't know what they plan to do. But I am pretty sure that it'll be it'll be inflation or price freeze. And I think it'll be a price freeze, to be totally honest, boys. I think looking at the attendances, to not do it would be a silly decision. One affecting the long-term future of the club. And that sounds very dramatic. I understand that. But again, the apathy setting in. And now apathy is an awful thing to try and overcome. And last time it set in, Dino had to reduce season ticket prices to very, very, very affordable prices to get people back in, and it worked, and we were all in, and we had the best time of our town supporting lives. And I wasn't here for any of it, unfortunately. I was in Australia, and again, I am the problem. There's two issues with town. I came back home, and we said we were appointing from a position of strength, having removed Neil Warnock, and both those two things have absolutely destroyed the future of Huddersfield Town. It seems that they are the points where everything has gone wrong. From then until now, it's been pretty shy and down and down and down. There's no way they can put prices up again, I think, because, again, the apathy's in, fans are falling out, not pretty much with each other. And that's another thing with the diary. I want to quickly go back to that is you're falling out with the wrong people here, Kev, mate, because Huddersfield Town fans, Huddersfield Town people from around these parts don't stick up with the big guys. They look after the small ones. Don't create extra division because it won't go the way I think you're expecting it to go. Or wanting it to go. Podcasts are not the ones to fall out with. It's not the right thing to do for a club that's succeeded when banded together, when being united, when working together as terriers, or whatever you want to, or however you want to frame it. We're better when we are unified. That's when we've overachieved, as we have done many times in our history. So we need to keep looking at that. But there's no way season ticket prices could go up. And if I was in charge, I'd be reducing them by a very nominal amount just to say they have done, because I think that'd be a big win when it comes to the marketing side of it. This season has been, or is likely to end as a failure if we don't get promoted, based upon not just the money Kev spent, to be fair to him. We brought Alfie May in, and I still think that did a lot when it comes to season ticket card sales last summer. I don't think there's another Alfie May you can go and get out or bring in this summer to kind of do the same thing. I don't think that's available. And once you've done it once, you can't do the same thing twice. We can't have 8,000, 9,000 in the stadium. It's an awful experience. Like you say, Cal, if you're after, and you are right, it's those day trippers that bring in the real money. We're there no matter what because we're stupid, right? We're the 50% that's stupid that we go in Division 3 when we're not paying players from Division 2, when Wadsworth's in charge. We're still there for that. But it's not us that makes the biggest difference when it comes to a club succeeding in regards to its revenue. It's the other guys that come in for the good times. A good atmosphere helps that. And I think our club always does better when the atmosphere is good. And yes, that's down to the Cowshire Law at times. Cal, we were there, weren't we? Putting all their banners out the night before the Bradford game. But it's easy to get that more often when you've got more people in the stadium because it makes it feel more of an event. The fewer people you have in, the harder it is to replicate that. It's not about bottom line profit per season. It's not per season you go on. It's a long-term vision you've got to see. And for that, it's getting people in the stadium. And recently, it's going the wrong way. We can't continue in that manner. So HSA do really, really good work. I'm not involved anymore. Nick still is though. So talk to Nick if you've got any questions about it. But no, keeping it as affordable as possible to get more and more people down. Because again, we're a town, when it comes to the football club, that overperform in regards to population, to people that go to games. We do really, really well, and we don't want to lose that. That's why we can be a smallish place like Huddersfield, yet overachieve when it comes to size and relativity to everybody else. Because we are loyal and we do turn up. We don't take the piss with high season ticket prices because there is a point, even for town fans, where they won't turn up. And I feel like that kind of, we're near that margin right now, and it's showing at the moment with how many few people are going to the game. So it's a big decision for the club to get it right because they did champion that they've earned more money from putting the season ticket prices up. So it's interesting to see how it goes, but it surely can't be another rise. It just can't be.
Yeah, I'll definitely reduce them slightly. Go on, Gaz.
No, I was just going to say, I was thinking about what Killer said there, and he's right. It's got to be for the club, if he wants to treat us as customers, which he clearly does, it's got to be about the lifetime value of each of us and then everybody else that we bring with us. Not one season isn't going to make the club sustainable in the medium to long term. It has to be. It reminds me of a boy. I went to a thing, and Stuart Rose, who used to be the chief of M&S, was there, and he told a story about the value of a shopper and how they used to piss people off by refusing to refund the 99 pence lettuce if you didn't have your receipt, and how they used to have gates on the till so you couldn't get out if you hadn't bought out. And he said, well, they changed the thinking, and that's what the club got to do, start thinking about us as long-term investments. Instead of us being invested in them, they've got to invest in us, and they've got to find a way to not piss us off in the short term to save 25p or make 50 quid. You got to think about, wait, when was the last time we had £1 a kid game? I can't remember. When was the last time? And they used to bring thousands in. They used to have, they used to give tickets away at school kids, didn't they? They were 500 or 1,000 every game they give to school kid. That stuff costs peanuts. In fact, it costs no. And I think that's the problem, Colin. You're right. They've got to start thinking about the lifetime value of us as if they want us as customers. Cool, I'm fine with that. But they've got to think about how did they get the best value from us.
Another quite worrying way of looking at it, I think, as well, is we know that there weren't 16,000 whatever in that stadium last night. So if that's the number of season tickets that have been sold, and we're told that attendances is done off walk-ups and season tickets, but nominal number of walk-ups for Tuesday night against Lincoln. So what you're basically saying is that nearly closer to 6,000 or 7,000 people chose to stay at home. And you're expecting those people to renew their season tickets. I can't see it at all. So are you expecting a hit of 6,000 or 7,000 less people to renew their season tickets? You've got to be looking at that and going, this is entirely unsustainable. We have to do something really drastic here. Because if they're not turning up for what was 2nd versus 6th, yeah, it were a Tuesday night, but if you're not turning up for that, you're not going to renew your season ticket.
Would it be an easier win, though, if they did come out, right, this year and said, right, we got it wrong, 300 quid season tickets across the board, right? Every stand, 300 quid. Everyone would be on side instantly. It'd instantly get everybody back on side, and it's probably cost less than buying a new striker that
you would
will
earn more
look like
money
a striker.
in the long run because you've got more people paying the lower price instead of having less people pay the higher price. So you'd earn more money in the long run anyway. It makes business sense.
Take it out of Reece Healy's wage.
Businessman.
That's it.
I feel like I need to say that at this point, but it makes sense to do that, to get the crowds in, and then hopefully you have a season that inspires people to pay the higher price when the next season rolls round.
Quid a kid. University, I've said it before, it's a university town. It's a massive university.
Yeah.
There's thousands of potential people there that you could tempt in with deals. You could put a bus on to take people from uni down to ground or wherever. You could easily get a couple more thousand there with the right advertising and the right offers. But there's no real desire to do that whatsoever. There's nothing. There's no incentive with the I know they said, you get 25% off at Club Shop, but although I don't know if that'll still remain next season. But it's no good when stuff's costing 70, 80 quid anyway. You know, there's not. It's not even like there's if you come, you get like a token for a free drink every match day, or do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like that to go with it to say, you know. I just think I'm with you, and I'd have said like 250, 300, mate. For a town like Huddersfield, people are struggling. There's a war on. As I think Jed Robinson pointed out, things are only going to get more expensive. Do you know what I mean? It's only going to get more expensive for people. So I don't see. Sky's a big factor as well. You know, the games you can watch now from your living room. Why would you go on a Tuesday night in the cold when you can just sit at home and watch it? Especially when we've been absolute gash. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, they've got a problem. They've got a real problem. And I don't envy them. To be honest, I would just take out a Reece Healy's wage when he goes. Don't replace him. Just get the season tickets down and get some folk in ground, and let's generate some decent atmosphere. Because that then filters onto the pitch. It helps everybody. It helps everybody. So if you're listening, Kev, come on. Nick says, come on. Get your finger out, Kev.
He's not listening.
He's not listening. No, no one's listening. Well, I'm sure someone's listening, but it won't be filtered back. Right, finally, let's cheer ourselves up and look ahead to the prospect of Plymouth away. Now, Plymouth, they're 10th. They've got 52 points. They've scored decent goals, 57 goals, but concede at 53. They do concede them. However, they did have that absolutely horrific start to the season where they're all but adrift at the bottom and the fans were in uproar and it was awful. And now suddenly they've come from nowhere and threatening the playoffs. We've had 19 away games at Plymouth. I did a bit of research. 19 away games. We've won 5 of them. So it's not an amazing record. And to be quite honest, looking at Plymouth, who are now 3rd in the form table, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Yeah, it's gonna be one of them. Ian, I'm sure you'll be doing a drive, mate. You'll be doing a warm up. So I'm not gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you, Andy, the top mate. How do you see this one going? Do you think Town have any chance of going down there based on recent away performances and getting a result?
No. Next. Every logical thing says absolutely not. They're in form. They'll have a decent following behind them. They're a passionate bunch down there. We won't have so many because it's a long way, and a lot of people will have ticked it off the list as I did. Back in the Championship 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm not going. Not that it makes a blind bit of difference whether I go or not, but I cannot see us getting anything out of it. So no.
Gaz?
Well, I'm going to rodeo on Saturday, so I definitely won't be watching it. And I really am. Don't laugh at it. I really am going to the rodeo. I've never been before, Nick. I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff.
But anyway, if I was at home, I wouldn't be going. And even though I wouldn't be going, I probably wouldn't be watching. I sound like a super fan, me, don't I? I'm not going, not watching. Fuck off. You get all bollocks.
Who are they?
Yeah.
You're in that 25%, guys.
I am.
For sure,
I'm a troublemaker, me. Troublemaker. I'm with you, Nick. It's a long way. We never do well there. They're in cracking form. We are not. Our away form has been absolutely horrendous. And when we did the Addy Uppy points things, I remember distinctly I put 3-0 Plymouth on my bit of paper. So I'm going to stick with that. I think it's going to be a bit of a tubbing. I think it will. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes with resting a few. I don't think Evans will play. I don't know how fit Hardy is, whether he will or won't play. But yeah, I think 3-0 Plymouth.
Resting him. We've only 8 games left. Season's on.
Don't shoot me.
What are we resting for?
I'm not going to say anything, but you fucking triggered me there, guys. Resting players for Plymouth. Are you fucking joking, man?
Yeah. No.
America's gone to your head, guys. Is Texas that expensive? You're panicking yourself, man. And you're an ethical bastard going to a rodeo as well. That's awful. That's why you lost all your luggage. That's why you had to rebuy your clothes after they didn't turn up for 3 days. They just knew. They knew what you were going to pay for.
It's not bullfighting, Killer.
You're there. Look at you.
It's a geezer riding an horse. It's not bullfighting. It's just a geezer riding an horse. You don't get to
horse wants that, guys, doesn't it? I'm sure horse loves it. Loves having a scrap of a man on its back.
You reckon they'll use that in the marketing strategy? It's just a
disgusting behaviour, guys.
Just a geezer riding a horse.
Do you know what? I wasn't going to say anything though. I wasn't going to get involved in this shit until Gaz started talking nonsense. We ain't conceding 3 goals. We don't get out of our box. There's too many people in our box to concede 3 goals, guys. The thing is with Plymouth, and again, Matt and I'll get into it tomorrow, much more analytical level than we will here tonight, guys. However, the way Plymouth played last time against us, were fucking awful. If you remember, Plymouth were the worst team I think we've seen at home this year. Bar Port Vale at Christmas, but Plymouth were awful. Tom Cleverley is still their manager somehow. I don't understand how he turned it around, because last time we saw them, they looked like they were just a bunch of lads that got off the street and chucked them on and gone, right, boys, play football, and they didn't know what they were doing. They had no idea with the roles. They didn't look like they were playing for the manager. Somehow they've got through that, and like you said, 3rd in the form table now, Nick. They are better, but again, they'll come at us. They'll have to come at us. And if they come at us, we'll have chances to counter against them. And I think this is a game that will be closer than what most people think. But it's become a must-win. It's a must-win game for Town now, because fail against Port Vale, fail against Lincoln, because we needed 3 points, not 1 point. We're chasing the top 6 now. Barnsley can get close again with the games in hand. I don't know how that's happened. When we beat them only a couple of weeks ago, they were about 28 points behind us with 4 games in hand. And now, if we lose this weekend, they win, they can go above us if they win the games in hand. It's unbelievable how poor our form has suddenly become. We have to go to Plymouth and win that game. Liam Manning has to pull out another tactical masterclass like he did yesterday, but instead of for 45 minutes, it's for 90 minutes. Plymouth will try and pass through us, which will lend itself for us counter-attacking them. But again, this will come down to whether we go with 2 men up top. And although I will say, when we normally face somebody who's played against us or played for us and we play against them in a game, they normally do us, right? So Joe Taylor might not have played for Wigan, but they still did us over. We've got Barley Mumba and we've got Ryan Hardy. That has to be worth something, boys. It has to be worth something.
It never works the other way around.
Well, yeah,
you're that 75%. You lot, you negative boys.
Honestly,
this attitude.
I'm glad you saved your opinion and not bothered giving us one killer like you said you wouldn't.
Ardy will be injured and Mumbrel will give a pen away.
Matt's just having a stroke now because he just basically spoiled the driving as killer.
Think they're tactical though. I'll tell you why tomorrow.
No, that is true.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Shove them up your ass, mate.
Anyway, Nick, I'm not being. He's not influencing me. I'm going for 3-0 Plymouth.
Yeah, I mean, we can't be too negative, according to Mr. Nagle. I call it realism. I don't call it negativity. I just call it realism because I just see the performances away from home. Our record at Plymouth ain't great anyway, and they're on great form. There's absolutely nothing, no matter what stat you look at, there's absolutely nothing to suggest that Town will go there and get a positive result, other than Plymouth just don't turn up on the day and we somehow fluke a 1-0. I think it'd be 2-0 Plymouth, personally. Carl, what do you think?
I'm with you, mate. I've said 2-0 Plymouth. I think their tails are up. They're on a sort of late storm for the playoffs, and that ground they can create a bit of an atmosphere in there. So it's a long way to go. I don't think we'll be up for it. I really don't, and I think we'll come off worse because of it. I hope I'm being a naysaying negative for no reason, but we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. But like you say, it's realism. It's not negativity. It's realism. You look at the form table, you look at the way they're playing versus the way we're playing. It all points to one thing, and it's not Huddersfield Town 3, Plymouth 0.
No. I mean, does anyone think we're still in this, by the way, for the top 6? Because again, I know Kevin Nagle said we've still got to believe, and I get that. And you've got to look, positivity breeds confidence and performance. I get that, and you don't want negativity around everywhere, bringing everyone down. But I just look at it. We went through the stats last, didn't we? And the points that you needed to get in those playoffs. And I checked out after Wigan away. I've got to be honest, that was a point for me where I thought the season's dead and done. But do you guys still think we can do it? So, honestly, do you think we've got enough in us to get the points necessary?
No. No chance. Not a chance.
No.
I thought there might be someone.
That sounds horrible to say that I genuinely hope we don't, but we do not have the capability at the football club to build a team strong enough to compete in the Championship next year should we get there. So all we'd be doing is sending a team up to get trounced every week to come straight back down. So I hope we don't. I hope we don't get in. Well, it'd be fun to get in the playoffs, but I hope we don't win them. And that gives us a sense of levity, really, that we can go into the playoffs not really caring. That's quite nice. But I just think we'd be giving ourselves too much to do if we were to go up by some miracle and then have to build a squad to be able to compete in the Championships and not go straight back down.
Yeah, with everyone still in contract, I think it'd be shudder at the thought, mate. I think you're right. I think it'd be a horrific season if we got promoted. It'd be very well. You never say never, but it would be tough, wouldn't it? Because it's not like we'd be going in with blazing momentum. Do you know, like a Lincoln or like Wrexham or someone like that? We'd be stuttering, wouldn't we?
Hey Nick, you're famous, Nick, for making stupid promises and stupid shouts, right?
Oh, cheers,
as you were once. Recall, well,
I thought you were going to say stupid comments just in general.
You had to mankini it before, Nick, because you said things you shouldn't have. Are you willing to make a commitment this year if we get promoted? Are you at that point yet or not yet? Yeah.
Well, I've not cancelled my hotel reservation just yet for Wembley. There's still that little
flicker
grain.
God love you.
So what do you want me to do if we get?
No, I don't know, Nick. You just normally make a rash decision. We normally tease you into it, me and Gaz. We normally, and Andy, to be fair, we get you going, and then you say something you shouldn't. I just didn't know if you were at that point just yet. Maybe we revisit this in a couple of weeks.
Maybe we'll revisit it after Saturday, mate. Because I think if we lose to Plymouth, it's got to be done. It's got to be dead and done on it. Surely that'll send. I think this week has probably been the death of this season because not beating Port Vale, that last-minute goal conceded to Lincoln, and then defeat to Plymouth would pretty much end it. I think there's too many teams in and around us with better momentum than us. If it was just one, you could say, all right, but there's 3 or 4. If you look at the points difference, there's like 3 or 4 points in it, isn't there, between like 5 or 6 teams. So I just don't see it. But yeah, I'll make a stupid promise, mate, and no doubt make a fool of myself as usual. I've no problem with that. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. I think that's it, guys. That's more than enough for one evening. Nearly 2 hours there of town talk to get our teeth into. Guys, please subscribe if you haven't already, and add a like as well, because it really helps. It really helps the pod if you put likes on there. I don't know how, but it just does. So if you wouldn't mind, that'd be amazing. But no, your comments have been great. We've had loads of comments, and I'm sorry I've not been able to read them all out because there's been so many and so much to talk about. But it really makes the show. All your contributions, that's what it's all about. Jed, I definitely, mate. We're going to all be in Pattaya, mate. I think I think I'll be cancelling that reservation soon, but we'll see. But yeah, for now, guys, Andy, Gaz, Killer, Callum, thank you so much, guys, and thank you to all you lot. And yeah, we'll don't let the town get you down. We will go again on Saturday against Plymouth, and he is hoping for 3 points. Up the town.